Welcome to our math classes Vodcast on fractions. As you view the video, make sure that you pause the video as needed to allow ample time for you to complete your Cornell notes. Our lesson for today will be on fractions. What is a fraction? A fraction is a number that names a part of a whole or set. It is a small or tiny part, amount, or proportion of something. Please pause the video now so that you can complete your Cornell notes in the portion that says, what is a fraction? Okay, let me go ahead and give you an example. Say that you had a pizza and the pizza had 10 slices in it. You and your friends eat 8 of those slices. The fraction that would represent how much of that pizza you had eaten would be 8/10. What are the parts of a fraction? A fraction is made up of a number on top, we call that number something, and a number on the bottom, we also call that number something. Number on the bottom is called the denominator. The denominator is how many parts there are in a whole. So for example, let's go back to our example on the pizza, okay? Excuse my wiggly line there. The pizza, like we had said, consisted of 10 slices. You and your friends had eaten 8 of those slices. So the denominator represents how many parts there are in a whole. 10 slices made up the entire whole pizza. You and your friends had eaten 8 of those slices of pizza. Okay, the top number is called the numerator. How many of the whole are shown or taken or left? So for this example over here, this fraction right here, you and your friends had eaten 8 of those 10 slices. So we would represent how much of the pizza you had eaten as 8/10. Again, let's look at what are the parts of a fraction. So if we were to look at this pie right here, this pie consists of 3 whole pieces, 1, 2, and 3. The question is, how much is shaded green? So we look at the denominator, which shows that there are 3 sections all together, okay? So the bottom number, otherwise known as the denominator here, okay, is 3. The question is, how much is shaded green? Well, if we look at all of these 3 pieces here, only one section is shaded green. Therefore, the numerator would be 1. So this pie here, if we're only looking at the pieces that are shaded green, would be represented as a fraction as 1/3. Let's look at this pie right here. The question is, what fraction is shaded green? Okay, so what I want you to do right now is I want you to write the answer to this question right here. What fraction is shaded green? Please write the answer to that question on your Cornell notes now. Go ahead and pause the video. Okay, so what you should have done is you should have written the fraction 1/4. Okay, again, if we look at the bottom number here, which is the denominator, that is the number that names how many parts make the whole. So 1, 2, 3, 4. There are 4 pieces to this pie that make the whole. The question is, what fraction is shaded green? And because only one piece is shaded green, the numerator would be 1. Okay, let's look at this model right here. Again, what fraction is shaded green? So I want you to pause the video right now and please write your answer on your Cornell notes. Okay, so if we look, you should have written The denominator, the number on the bottom, which represents how many pieces make the whole, would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The denominator would be 5, okay? The question is, what fraction is shaded green? So we would count how many pieces are shaded green. 1, 2, 3, okay? So this model here, written in fraction form, would be 3/5 if we're looking at what fraction is shaded green. How many pieces here are shaded green? Okay, one more. What fraction is shaded green? Please pause the video right now and write your answer on your Cornell notes. Okay, so if we were to look at the entire model here, we would have how many pieces would make a whole? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So our denominator is going to be 5. Okay, and the question again is, what fraction is shaded green? And as you can see, the entire model is shaded green. Okay, so our numerator will also be 5. So the fraction would be 5/5, which would also equal 1 whole. Equivalent fractions. What is an equivalent fraction, or what are equivalent fractions? Equivalent fractions are fractions that represent the same number or area. Okay, so please pause the video right now and fill in on your Cornell notes the definition of what an equivalent fraction is. Okay, so now we're going to look at these fraction bars right now so I can help you understand the concept of what equivalent fractions are. If we were to look at this blue bar right here, it represents 1 whole. Okay, the numerator and the denominator are both 1. 1 piece, the denominator, makes up the whole. Okay, so now let's look at halves. If we were to take 1, 2 halves, we all know that 2 halves equal 1. But now what I want you to do is try and figure out how many fourths would equal 1/2. So we'll bring these bars up here. 1, 2. Okay, so 1/2 equals 2/4. Okay, now let's look at how many thirds equal 1 whole. So we have 1, 2, 3 thirds equal 1 whole. Okay, now let's take a look and see how many sixths make 1/3. So we have 1, 2, 2 sixths equal 1/3, and so on and so forth. Now let's look at use the fraction wall. So we're going to use this fraction wall again to help you match equivalent fractions. Okay, so pause the video right now, and I want you to try and determine yourself 1/4 equals how many eighths. Okay, so what you should have done is you should have looked at 1/4, the purple bar here, and you should have seen how many dark green 1/8 equal 1/4. Okay, so if you look at 1/4 and then look below it, you will see that 1, 2, 2/8 equal 1/4. Okay, now let's look at 1/2 here. How many eighths equal 1/2? So we're going to look at the light green bar here, just 1/2, and count how many eighths equal 1/2. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. 4/8 equal 1/2. And now let's look at 3/4. Okay, so we have 1/4, 2/4, 3/4. Okay, so what we're going to do is we are going to count the distance from here all the way to here, which equals 3/4. And we're going to count how many eighths are between this line and this line. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Haha. So we have 3/4 equals 6/8. Okay, so now you're going to use the fraction wall to help you match the equivalent fractions that we have now. So please pause your video and figure out 1/5, 4/10, 3/5, 4/5, and 5/10. And how do they equal these fractions over here? Please pause the video now. Okay, so if we looked at 1/5 right here, we can determine that 1 2/10 equals 1/5. Okay, now let's look at 4/10. 1, 2, 3, 4, which equals 1 2/5. Okay, now let's look at 3/5. We have 1, 2, 3/5. Okay, so we're counting this bar, and this bar. Okay, so I'm going to put a line right here so we know to stop there. Okay, and I'm going to draw it all the way down here. And let's count how many tenths from this bar, or that line, I'm sorry, all the way to this line. Okay, so we have 1/5, 2/5, 3/5. Okay, so let's count how many tenths equal 3/5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so we have 6/10 equals 3/5. Now let's look at 4/5. We have 1, 2, 3, 4/5. So let me go ahead and erase this line here. Okay. And now we're looking at 4/5. And let's count how many tenths equal 4/5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8/10 equals 4/5, and then we can see that 5/10 equals 1/2. Okay, we are now going to use the fill tool to make each pair of fractions equivalent. Okay, then we're going to use the pen tool, or I'm going to use the pen tool to write the equivalent fraction. Okay, let me get the highlighter here. Okay, so we're going to, if we look here, we see that this pie consists of 2 pieces to make one whole. That is represented as 1/2. Now if we look here, we can see that 4 pieces make up one whole. So we know that the denominator is going to be 4. But we only want to shade in the same amount of space that's shaded on this side. So we're just going to shade in, excuse me, kind of went over the line there. We're just going to shade in 2 pieces here. Okay, so as a result, we can see that 2/4 is equal to 1/2. Okay, so now let's look at this particular model right here. We see that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oops, sorry about that. Okay, 6 pieces make up one whole, and only 2 pieces are shaded. So now let's just shade in the same amount of space here. But this fraction is going to be written differently in that there are only 1, 2, 3 pieces. Okay, and if we look how many pieces are shaded, we can see that there's only 1/3. Therefore, we can infer, let me erase this blue here. Okay, oops, and erase that, sorry about that. We can infer that 2/6 equals 1/3 because the same amount is shaded. Now I'd like you to pause the video and please figure out this on your own and write the answer on your Cornell notes. Okay, that is the end of our notes. Thank you for participating.